What did you do? Like, I was frustrated. So like, what did you do?
Well, you're gonna love this. I mean, you're not gonna love it, but I'm gonna love it. And it is kind of funny. So I guess I should just apologize. I mean, you know this, but apologize in the beginning here, because our house sounds like an emphysema ward. Like it sounds like we've been smoking for like 3,000 years between the six of us. So apologies in advance that you're just going to hear, like, poor Virginia does that like seal hack, and she said, oh yeah. And it's so bad. So anyways, last year I was having a bit of a mental crisis, right? And so family stuff going on and life and things. And I would say, I mean, not being like dramatic about it, but I would say that it was some of my like deeper, more difficult, like adult hurt that I was trying to process through. And so as one does while doing that, I decided, hey, how about this year I put out a video every single day and challenge myself to, to focus on this and to do that. And so this being the last Saturday, so the last Chatty coffee date of the year, which I don't even have coffee, I just have sparkling water today. I haven't drank coffee in like a week. But kind of finishing up this, 300, which technically it's been more than that because we've done collective videos and so many other things. So it's actually been even more than 300.
You mean like that month where you, on top of doing the 365, you did another 30 days. So you had 2 videos a day coming out for 30 days. Yeah. You mean like that?
Like that. Yeah. Which at the end of it, I said, whoever has the bright idea to put out 2 videos a day,
so fire them immediately.
Do that again.
Yes.
Which I haven't. I have never done again. So I kept to it because I don't know. I've told you I was going through a lot this year. But, I wanted to kind of wrap up, I think it's been kind of neat. I started this challenge kind of just in the spur of a moment thing, because that's how I roll, and was like, you know what, I'm going to do a video every day. Let's just do that. Like, why not? Right. Obviously. And because I vlogged through homeschool years and stuff like that, but there was always like some sort of a break in it. And so I was like, yeah, let's just like have no break. Let's just put something out every single day while dealing with like immense personal.
Let me process this all at the same time as putting something out.
Yeah.
I'm kind of really getting nervous where this is leading to, because
okay, just hang with me. Hold, please. Okay, I thought it was cold, so I turned on a heater, but I am not cold. So I knew we were coming up here on this. Sorry, it's so hard to get comfortable. I got this big old stinking medical boot hanging off my foot, and the whole foot's bruised and sore, and I'm like, oh. Anyways, I knew we were coming up here at the end of the year, and I had all these grand plans of how this last week was going to go. And then we've been sick with the plague, and so literally none of it's happened. But one of the things I really wanted to do was for us to have our Chatty coffee date be a little different than what it normally is, right? Normally we answer viewers' questions and things like that and kind of chat like friends. But I actually really, we have some great, topics we're going to get into today, because I think it is important to reflect back on such a really like earth-shattering, like groundbreaking year for us. Like, I think we will forever, Lord willing, while we have this kind of look back to this year, is, that year where, big change happened. So I think it's wise to talk through it and to think through it. But I kind of want to, before we get into that though, really just dedicate this episode to you, because I started, see, this is so I started the minimalist homeschool 6 years ago, right? Which is heavily my deceit. Look at even Salem's here to follow along. So I started this because I needed a creative outlet outside of weddings. I had been in weddings I needed something creative to do that had nothing to do with weddings is what I was looking for. And I know that I am a workaholic. I am incredibly driven, and I'm a bit of a psychopath when it comes down to these things. And so when I started this, I purposefully never attempted to do anything like purposeful here, right? Like I never check the stats. You still laugh at me at how poorly I navigate the analytics of my own channel, because I purposefully avoided all of that because I knew that I would turn it into something, right? It would be this little green-eyed monster that would it no longer would be this fun hobby outlet passion project, because I'm a workaholic. I would go down that. I would obsess over every little, detail and thing. And it was, within the past couple of years of you coming along, and you saw it for so much more than I think I ever even thought of allowing myself to, because I knew I had my own heart issues I needed to deal with, and not being competitive, not being driven, not being like, and not that those things are always bad things, but I would turn them into obsessive bad things. And when you came along and first started helping me with some stuff, I had spent so many years purposefully not learning how YouTube works, not learning how the algorithm works, not like purposefully like disadvantaging myself to not know how the things worked, because I knew I'd become obsessed with them. And so having a friend to come along and kind of keep me balanced and yet make it a fun way to kind of work together, not only do I personally attribute most of the success we've seen this year to you and what you've done, but I also think that, and I know I want to talk about it when we get into the questions that you have, but I think this year was really big for me in a personal, right, where I think I've actually grown more in a personal way that, nobody else will see, right? But I really do. I think it's because of you. And I thank you for that, because I don't think I would have been able to do this otherwise, especially not in a healthy manner. And so that is totally all your fault, and you get all the credit for that. And so when I look back at this year and I see so much growth and so much change and the things that we're looking at moving forward, to me, a lot of it has to do with your honestly, just kindness and generosity to help with things. It's not like I had anything to offer you in return, but to see, but I think that you've seen a lot of personal growth in that as well. And seeing you kind of get your sea legs, and the stuff that now and the things that you can do, and seeing you grow in that, I think has been really, really cool. And I'm excited to see where it all goes. But I don't think that I would have ever addressed a lot of the, I don't know, like demons in my closet. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think I would have ever addressed those things necessarily if it wasn't for you and what you did, especially this year, but over the past couple of years. I think there's a lot of it that I was happy to have just like closed the closet and been like, nope, I don't do well with that, so I'm just not going to open it, And it's like, well, you never actually address it. I'm just ignoring it, right? Like you're not addressing it. It's just not being dealt with. And that's how I tend to handle things anyways. Ask my husband in the many years of marriage therapy we probably could use, but that's not the best way to do it. And so I'm really excited to look at, kind of a recap of this year and prayerfully kind of moving forward what we're looking at. But I really do attribute really all of this to you. So thank you for showing up and going beyond your comfort zone to even reach out to me and talk to me, because I thought for sure you just didn't like me. Come to find out you're just really shy. And so thank you for not being scared away and allowing my persistence to win out over your discomfort of my persistence.
It's interesting because I think it all started with, can you do me a big favor? Because like, I can't have my subtitles on the bottom of my screen if your logo is right there and you put the headings there. Can you please do me a huge favor and move the headings so that I can hear the videos? And you were like, what? That's a thing? And I was like, oh, yeah, actually my television has subtitles on it all the time because I can't hear very well. And so I always have subtitles on everything. And your little headers, like your Bible chapters, they're kind of in the way, and it messes with my vision. Can you move those? Oh, you have subtitles? That affects things? Oh, well.
For me, it's a click of a button. I can go that way instead of that way. That's super easy, right? No problem.
That's how it started. But I don't think I've done anything for you except for I watch your videos beforehand, and I put chapters in them. I link things if you have. That's about it. That's about it.
Okay, we don't have enough time to actually go through all the things that Sabrina does, because I could just screen share here a whole website of all the things Sabrina does. But you do a lot, and I really do thank you, because you definitely kickstarted this way of, why do you do this? Do you know you could do this? What about this? Have you seen your animal? Nope, no clue. What do you mean? I think you thought I was messing with you. You're like, what do you mean you have no idea?
Well, so I found you when I didn't have the internet. Mm-hmm. I lived on a farm out in the middle of nowhere.
Like for real nowhere.
For real nowhere. Like the internet didn't come to us, and you didn't have cell phone service. So you better have gotten the gate code on the freeway on the way out, because if you didn't get the gate code, you're going to be driving 15 minutes back to the freeway to get the gate code to come back, because we don't know you're there.
Wow.
So we lived without the internet, and I didn't know YouTube blew up like YouTube blew up, because I didn't have the internet. Mm-hmm. So when I came along, I was just like, look, I found you. You're so cool. Look at this. And then it was just like, this would be really convenient for me. And since you're my friend, could you like help and just do that? Thanks. That was it. So I didn't know anything about analytics or anything. And then I started watching your stuff, and I was like, oh, this is fun. Look at this. Look at these numbers. They're so fun. Not that I care, because it's not my channel. So it's not actually connected to me. So I get to just like data drivenly look at things and like, ooh, this is interesting.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Yeah.
That's it. I've done nothing. Except for show up on today's and get freaked out. And then later today's, I text you and say, please don't publish that, because I did a terrible job. And so you'll get that text later.
And then what will I respond with?
Something like that.
What are you talking about? You did fantastic.
Yeah. It's fine. It's fine.
So proud of you. I am so proud of you. You've come so far this year against your will, but you did it. And I think that future you will like it.
Not so sure about that. So the questions that I have for you.
Yes.
You, right before you hit record, I was reprimanding you because you didn't have any idea for today. And then I just had to do the thing, and you were just like, she's going to do this. And then I had to.
Well, that's not true. I always have an idea. It's just a very like abstract idea. that we figure out in the process.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's what I was being reprimanded for.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But I just came up with some kind of like, I want you to wrap up this year and then kind of not vision cast, but like goals and maybe some stuff like that.
And I love this because this all adds to the point of, see, she does nothing, y'all. She just takes my abstract idea and then builds an entire plan and system and puts it all together so it can be an official show. Yep, things like that.
Whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Whatever. So with these questions, I need you to answer them. I'm going to just give you the parameters because I know how you speak and you just naturally like jumble things up. So
yeah, I do.
I need you to answer these kind of for your own personal self.
Okay.
Because you have a lot of facets and a lot of things that you have done this last year and have managed and taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
I need you to answer it for yourself personally. I need you to answer it kind of for A&P Home Ministries.
Okay.
Your family.
Okay.
The farm.
Mm-hmm. And
then YouTube world.
Okay.
Okay. So that's like all of the different circles of life.
That's fair.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have a biggest accomplishment in any or all of those areas?
For this year, I think, I think we've got a few really big accomplishments that I'm quite proud of this year. One, I think for the church, I'll start with the church and we'll get to me last. For the church, A&P Home Ministries, those of you who are in our church family know how much we've gone through over the past couple of years. And it's actually been a really tender topic, just especially for my husband, just with everything that's gone on. We've gone through some serious church hurt. We've gone through all kinds of stuff the past couple of years. And sorry, ministry is not for the faint of heart. And we were definitely the faint of heart. So I think that seeing so many people that have come and joined the church, I think we've got like over 700 people over in there now, seeing just church services full again and prayer requests and questions. And just like, I feel like life has been breathed back into A&P. And I think that that's really a great blessing that we've seen this year that I'm really, really thankful for and excited to see where that goes. Big things with our family. I think our family went through a lot this year, a lot of refinement, but I think that I don't think we're done yet. Like, I think there's still, I think we're still kind of like in the process. I'm not saying that it's complete, but I think we went through a lot, and I'm quite proud of how we've kind of come out the other side with it, how we've survived it anyways. I think with the farm, I'm quite proud of the fact that we're actually doing it. Like, I don't think it was really, we've always called it our little homestead, but it was like a sad, sorry excuse of a homestead really until this year. And so while it's nowhere near, we had a failed flower farm this year. We've got failed, incomplete projects everywhere. Like, it's by no means perfect. We've actually suffered some really serious loss here lately that I still don't even like thinking about. It makes me so upset. But seeing the sheep and just, seeing the stuff grow, and it's something that our family just loves so much. So I've really been excited to see that, just seeing those first things really happening. And then, of course, the biggest thing with YouTube just being the explosion, right? Like, having that, it's still crazy. I don't know what it's at the kids brought it up the other day because they were like, did you know how many views that video has on it now? And I'm like, no, I never know, because I never look. I never, ever look. I never know what any of the numbers are. Sorry. Oh my goodness. But it's really high. I don't remember what it was. Is it like 7? You're looking right now, aren't you? Yeah, you're looking at. Oh my goodness.
725,000. You hit a video. You created a video that hit 725,000 views. That was like unfathomable. We didn't even conceptualize that those numbers existed for your videos. And I don't mean that in any kind of like, you're not.
It's just honest to
in a
truth.
reality like spectrum, that was not the circle you were throwing your hat in. And then your hat got dropped in that ring, and it was like, what happened? Wow. Oh, so yes.
Yeah, genuinely. And so I think we've hit some crazy numbers this year. I mean, I didn't even pull them up or anything. Well, I'm thinking. Okay, so like this, we hit in the spring at some point 1 million views, like of the whole channel. And that was crazy. That was so crazy this spring to have hit 1 million views. We are almost at 3 million views lifetime now. So not only did we hit, we're at 2,912,205, because I just pulled it up. But I mean, like, you can look and see the like drasticness of that.
Like
and so
the reverse of the dead heart thing, where it goes beep 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 beep,
yes.
and then it goes burp. Yours was the reverse. You were dead, and then it like
alive. Yeah. So I think, as far as, this year, just looking at YouTube, it's really like, wow, it's not what we were trying for. It's not what we expected. It literally like just happened. And of course we know what it is. I mean, it's all in God's timing and God's plan. And, and whatever it is that we have to learn in the way. And I think that's what brings me to the point for just personal self was, I know I shared this with you, like end of summer, early in the fall, after this big spike had happened. And that's kind of why I shared the story of, I needed something that was just a hobby, was something to be set off to the side, was just something that I could do to have fun. And it didn't matter what the numbers were. And I didn't learn how to use the platform. And I purposefully didn't do so many of the things, and, started kind of dabbling back in it with you as we were going. And I'm really thankful for that we're doing it together, because I think the biggest lesson, the biggest thing, that I'm thankful for myself was that it's really easy to think that you're like healed of a problem you had when you don't have to face it anymore. Right? Like, maybe I was an alcoholic and now I live somewhere where there's no alcohol whatsoever. And I'm like, oh dude, I'm totally cured. Well, then you drop me off in, Las Vegas, and is it still as easy to stay out of the bars? You know what I mean? It's like, it's really easy when you're not there and you're not faced with it. And I think I hit on a lot of deep insecurities of myself this year, and had to find a way to process through them and figure myself back out. But I think seeing the success and the stuff change and all of that stuff come in, and having to process through my own, worries and issues and things like that. Even this month, our numbers started tanking in November, and they've just been tanking. I mean, it's just been bad. And I've been having to really go to the Lord in prayer and do a lot of heart work to be like, hey man, I know why I'm here. I know what I'm doing. It doesn't matter, like whatever. Our income took big hits again, all this stuff started happening. And I think it was literally like just yesterday or something, all the numbers started ticking, back up again. And I'm like, all right, Lord, I'm learning my lesson. Know my lane, stay where I'm at, stop being afraid. I know, but it was not an easy process to get that. And so I think I am not a person who usually reflects back and feels proud of myself for things, but I'm very, I'm happy that for this year starting off as like just personally difficult as it did at the beginning of the year, and feeling a lot of feelings of like childhood, abandonment that I had thought, had been dormant for so many years, and then all came like raging back. I'm quite proud to see the lessons and refinement I feel like that have been learned this year. And I feel like, almost in like that cheesy way, but like, I feel like almost like this whole new person, you know what I mean? Like going into this year than it was going into last year. Last year felt so, I'm not putting my thumb up. Last year felt so just broken and disheartening and lost, and like I served no purpose. I felt very much like I didn't have a value or a purpose kind of going into last year. And so I think this year, or, end of the year now going into next year feels a lot different.
So 2022 broke you.
Mm-hmm.
2023 would be your year of trials,
Mm-hmm.
Refinement,
Mm-hmm.
but they're all the old obstacles that are being resurfaced. And it's kind of like minimalism when you go through your house and you do that first, go through and you're like, oh yeah, this is just, I can live with this. And this is, wow, I'm so minimalistic. And then you go back through a couple of months later and you're like, oh,
I don't need it.
Yeah. And then a couple of years from now, you're like, what was I even thinking? So that like shedding, that refinement, I kind of am picturing a lotus flower as it kind of like opens and it like sheds the green part of its flower.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of like, but you're like, you shed all of the things and you worked through and you processed a lot of things that you didn't think needed processing.
Mm-hmm.
And you realize that processing isn't necessarily a bad thing. Mm-hmm. It feels yucky, but it's kind of like in a race when you've tripped and you're on the ground and you have the choice to get up off of the ground or just to lay there in defeat.
Yeah.
This year was your like, am I going to lay here in defeat or am I going to get up and move to 2024? Mm-hmm. Am I going to do this? Is this going to be what it is? And you like wrestled with it all year long.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So now with that, wrapping it up, what do you see 2024? My dog, I'm so sorry.
Very thirsty dog. Emphysema ward, thirsty dogs. She's like, I will take my sweet time and drink all the water I need. You clearly aren't doing anything.
She really is still drinking. Okay. So as you look forward to the next year, what are you, because now you're on the ground and you're like, nope, I think I'm going to do it. I'm going to get up. I'm going to go. I'm determined. It's happening because you told me that this year. This is happening. There is no questions any longer. I am sure of this. This is happening. And it was like this moment where you were like, actually, this is real. I got this. So what do you see doing in the future? Like, what do you want 2024 to actually bring? If you got to be the master of the year, which you're not, and you fully are aware of that, But
Right.
if you were in charge,
Mhm.
how would you set out the year?
Yeah, because I think there's that, that balance to that where, I love scripture when it tells us that like only a fool plots his course tomorrow because you don't know, you have no idea, right? Like you have no clue. But yet we're wise to plan ahead and to think through things, right? It's finding that balance between the two of thinking that we can control where it's going and then just being, reckless. But I kind of told you about this because I am very thankful, like you said, that like lotus analogy for this year. And then so looking at it and just, I've been very thoughtful in prayer over this for the past few months. You and I have been talking about it quite a bit because I've just been, my poor husband, every date day, I'm like, let's hone in on all of this. And he's like, I thought we were just having a nice lunch. Like, do we have to? But I'm like, no, like we've got, like, I'm here. And I think a lot of it's just been, it's honestly just the response to what God's really been doing in our lives and working through all of it. And I feel a sense of responsibility to handle it appropriately. And so I think, like thinking of the church, I really want to see our church grow. I want to see the pastors get to be there full time, and they have so much information. They're such great guys, and they really do have such a love for just teaching and building up others. And I would love to see it grow as just a resource for people all around the world to just dig in, right? That's all they want to do. Like it's not about our agenda or anything like that. It's like let's just all dig in so that way we can be growing and can know and can stand with, just that firm foundation of, knowing what we stand in. And so I'm really praying, that for the church, for our family. We've been dealing with a lot of things that I know aren't like normal, but we have believed in our cause so much with the ministry that we were willing to forego anything we had to see it succeed. And I'll happily doing so. But there have been a few things that we've talked about as a family here at the end of the year, and a few things that we've looked at trying to fix or finally just deal with. And I would really like to see that for our family. There's nothing wrong with sacrificing for something that you believe in. But then there's also nothing wrong with coming to the point where you don't have to maybe sacrifice all that you've been sacrificing, right? Like we all make sacrifices and that's fine. But then there's some things where it's like, you know what? It's something simple, but like our girls needed proper beds. Like they needed proper bedding. And like that for the past, 5 years has been a luxury that we just couldn't afford, right? Like the mission was ministry and that was the focus. And so we were able to, here at the end of this year, finally take care of their bedding. They now all have proper beds and, new bedding. And it was, it wasn't.
Let me clear that up. Your children were not sleeping on hardwood floors with like a blanket. That's not the level of sacrifice we're talking about. Do not misconstrue this.
No.
They had beds, they had blankets, they had the whole thing. But like it's different.
Yes. Thank you. Because that's that comment. It's like, what? You're kidding? No, that's not what I'm saying.
No. I've been in your home with blankets. We're all good. Like there's a plethora.
Yes, they're good. But it was, little things like that where it's like, no, like we're going to take care of this and we're going to take care of it by way of like giving you like a proper setup here, right? Not just what can we make do with, what can we finagle, what can we, whatever, which again, we're happy to sacrifice, but little things like that, I think for our family, we quite often cut out really going and doing anything. We do lots of things together. Every day we kind of have a cutoff point. We're outside playing. I mean, not right now, but we do plenty of things together, but there's a lot of things that, we had kind of given up on doing. And so, getting to do some of that, I think just as a family, again, they're just little things. They don't even matter that much, I'm sure, to most people, but they're things that to our family have been sacrifices. And so to get to kind of address some of those areas, deal with some of those things, and like fix up some of those areas, is something that I'm really looking forward to seeing more of with our family going into this year. I really want to see our little farm grow. Very prayerfully looking for ways that we could purchase this property, which seems like a huge stretch. That has never been in our world of reality. And I mean, it really isn't even in our world of reality now, but it is a prayerful hope going into this next year to be able to find a way to do that. Because I think part of it is we have an amazing property as far as being able to host people. And whenever we have people from the church over, people we've met, on YouTube that come over to the house, and everybody, the kids love being out there playing with the animals and running through the field and doing all of this stuff. And so seeing the farm grow, but in a way that also grows YouTube, I would love to see a designated, recording space. I would love for our little weekly chatty coffee dates to turn into, I have it in my head, it's going to be a talk show. And Sabrina is so excited and on board with this idea, but I messaged her a little while ago and I was like, I've got it. Like I've got it in my head. And it's like, I want the property to be that space that like people can come to and gather at. And like these conversations that we have, like we can all have them. And this can be, it's because it's not about us, it's bigger than us. And to see that, that's where kind of like farm and YouTube, kind of like collide together. My mom just texted me, what did I tell you? But I would really like to see all of that come to be. And I think for YouTube, I really do. I want to see us hit 100,000 subscribers this year. And I say that because I want to get serious about what this channel is. And what this channel is it's a community of women that are encouraging and equipping one another to live heavenly minded. And so speaking engagements, classes, gatherings, the talk show, right? Like all of those to me are like pillars that support that. And I think that we live in a world that is hungry, and especially as women, we're hungry for truth and we're hungry for community and for that reality, right? That real like biblical, just like what we're supposed to be to one another. I think there's more of us out there that are looking for that. And, I get to set that goal is kind of crazy to say, well, there's going to be 100,000 of us here this time next year when we're doing the same like recap thing, only it's going to be a talk show in the barn that we've built out. There's going to be 100,000 of us that are sitting there going, yes, like, let's make it 200, let's make it 300, right? Or whatever, because it's about pouring into that community. And I think we live in a world that is just so superficial and so, it's so easy to focus it all on yourself and just build up yourself. And it's about you and all of that. But I don't want to be just another person out here building myself up, right? Like that's never been the goal or the plan in any of this, but like moving forward now, like I say again, like that's not it. I'm happy to live, I've kind of thought about that because it's like, I like a simple life. I like a quiet life. Like to me, the luxuries and beauty, thing like that, like it's not from that big stage. If anything, the bigger the stage, the more difficult it makes trying to get back to all of that. But I believe in it. And I believe in the importance in building one another up and building up community, because I think it's just so sorely lacking today. And every message we get, every email we get from someone who goes, you have no idea how much, I was struggling, and then I ran into this video and da da da, just I hear that, and it just, to me, those are such humbling messages, because nothing that I put out is about me. You know what I mean? Like, that's not, we don't do this. This isn't like, this podcast isn't like Heidi and Sabrina vanity hour, like this, that's not like what the point of any of this stuff here is. If anything, my life would be easier to never put the stuff out or talk about the stuff, right? And like have to deal with all the nonsense. But because it helps, because it serves, like that's the whole being eternal minded, is like, it's investing in that. It's investing in what lasts for all of us and makes a true difference in life. And so to see a space that, we can hold one another accountable to keep that goal as our focus in everything that we do, I think is just so incredibly important. And I want to pursue that to the fullest, right? I'm going to go pedal to the floor, like go for it, and God will direct it and guide it where it is. I don't believe that failure is real. It isn't. We could go on for days here. And I know Sabrina hears me talk about it all the time, but I don't believe failure is real, because failure only happens if you give up. And so as long as you keep going and you keep moving forward, God directs it. He's got it. He knows how he's using you and where you're going and what you're doing. And even if you don't see the results of it, he knows what the results are. And that's right. It's above my pay grade. He's got it. I'm just like, all right, whatever you say, like, we'll just go there. But to see that for the channel and to see all of that grow, I just think that would be amazing. And for myself, I'm thankful for the lessons that I've learned this year, and just really hopeful going into the new year to see me continue to strengthen myself in those areas that I have found, and to stay strong in. And I think it's going to be a really big year. I mean, we're talking about really big, serious things. And I really want to pursue speaking engagements, like in person. You know what I mean? Like, I've been talking to a box for 6 years now in my house, to actually get to, I think that's why I love doing these podcasts and I love doing live so much, because at least there's like someone there, because I essentially just talk to a box all day long. But to go meet up at churches, at venues, at whatever, and get to, still talk about the same things we all love talking about, but to go talk about biblical womanhood or, simple living or whatever it is, like to go talk with people like right there, not just a box that I'm staring at, pretending, that somebody's going to hear it. I think for me, that just really, I don't know, I feel like that really energizes me. Like, the prospect of that happening this year and kind of being a goal, to me, I think just sounds so exciting. Like, I guess most people would probably be freaked out about standing up and having to talk in front of a bunch of people, but I just think that sounds just a little bit, right? Yeah, I don't know. Like, for me, it feels, it's not really something I've had to do a ton of before. So it feels a little challenging, which I like. But yeah, I'm all for it. And I'm really hopeful that we'll see some opportunities like that this year, to actually get to talk and like connect with people there and like actually get to hug people and do all the stuff. Like, that's so exciting.
So before, like a couple of these ago, we talked about the loss of third space.
Yes.
And the communal aspect of third space being taken away from our society when the pandemic happened. Yeah. But even before that, it had started to decline.
Yeah.
There are no gathering places. Well, there are less gathering places. There are less places for clubs or groups to meet and socialize about anything.
Mm-hmm.
So
well, just our busy schedules too. Like we're like, I'll just get online and check out what it, like we don't prioritize that gathering. Yeah.
So it sounds like you in 2024 are going to theoretically prioritize third space and the gatherings and the meetings of extra people. Online is not optimal, but it is going to be an avenue that you're going to third space the internet.
Yeah.
Because it's available
mm-hmm.
and it's open for everybody, and you don't have to be local to your house.
Mm-hmm.
But you really want to grow your third space. And I heard that you said that you wanted to look at investing in your property, which would be physically acquiring a third space.
Mm-hmm.
You want to grow the barn, which would be your recording studio. But in reality, it's just a room of gathering.
Mm-hmm.
And you're wanting to build up people to then come and interact in the third space, whether it be online or in person. You're hoping for that engagement, that interaction, that camaraderie.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hearing that you really are looking for some camaraderie.
Yeah. And I think that I think it's funny because like I'm a person who's totally fine to be alone. Like I don't, while I'm definitely an extrovert and I have no problem being around people and doing stuff like that, like I'm just as content to just be doing my own thing. And like when people say, oh, I just have to get out of the house, like I can't do it anymore, I will happily stay in the house for so long it's disturbing. I'm like, nah, I'm good, I'm here, fine, just leave me here. But I love the closeness of community, and I think that that's just been lacking so much. And I've seen such beautiful community. I didn't know what I was doing when I started this. I just knew I needed some hobby and some outlet for myself. It was just a creative outlet was all it was, right? But now there's like this amazing community. The closest friends that we have, the closest family we have in our lives today are from YouTube. Like, it's how we met you. I mean, everybody in our church, like if I pull up my phone, every time I do this, I can go through all the top people in my messages, and they're all people that are either from YouTube or the church, which came from YouTube. You know what I mean? It's like, it's all connected. And it's, yeah, I think it's just been so just almost miraculous to see this amazing community start to exist through this. And so now, 6 years into it, I'm like, all right. So I think then it's our job to go, then let's keep giving this community what it deserves and what it needs. Because it has just been growing and growing and growing for all these years. And so let's, because I didn't know where this was going or what we were doing or what, like, no clue, none. But then it's like time and time again, it's like, well, it's the community, it's the people. That's what we're here for. So let's focus on building up that, right?
So we have about time for a last question.
Yep.
But I was going to ask you about because I think this is different. What would your prayer be going into the new year about those goals?
Mm-hmm.
I heard something and I could summarize what I think your goal is, but I don't know what you think your goal is, or what you would take to the Lord and say, here is my prayer for the year.
I guess if I thought about what my prayer would be, in all areas, right, with the different categories. It's that all the people involved, right, this community sense of it, from our family to the church to you all to, you know, all of this. It's that message of eternity would be what each of us finds and grows in, right? Be it, we're all in different, right? It can look different for different people in the way of, maybe you're a new Christian and you're just learning what that means. Maybe you're, you know, whatever it is, but that the community, the gathering, in whatever aspect you partake of it, through the church, through coming to physical meetups, through watching online, through whatever, that it would leave you feeling that just like locked in, I know where I'm going, so I can like just blaze that trail from here to there, right?
Are you praying that everybody feels the dedication that you feel when you have that switch turn on? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but like I pray that for me too, right? Like, because it's hard. You go through, like, I feel like this past year was there's so much uncertainty, so much just ugh. And it even had me going like, I don't even care, whatever. Like, which is that is not a me way to feel, right? So like if I get to feeling that way, it's like, oh wow, that's impressive, right? But for all of us, that we would have that, you know, that's why we're going to take the beginning of the new year and we're going to do the Bible reading challenge, right? Like, come on, let's get into the word. Like, let's do that. But for all of us to have that moment where we go, Lord, I get it. I get it. I know I'm going here. That's what I get, right? I get that. All of this in here, I don't know. That's you, you know, we're going to have to figure those pieces out. But like, I see that down there, laser focus. I'm going. Eternity is what matters, right? That's it. Yeah, I really hope that I think that would be what I would say my prayer, myself included, would be.
I figured that it's the same, but I figured your prayer would be something along the lines of growing a like-minded community for the good of God in whatever way is necessary, in whatever avenue it takes. You are open to it. Your goal is to grow community that we all have the same goal in mind. We're all in the same race. Look, we're all racers in this race. Let's all meet up at the same place so that we can do the race together, because otherwise we don't know who's racing and how to race and do You're trying to gather us all together and say, okay, community, let's go. Let's all do this together, because it's so much easier when you have people around you who all know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And then you want God to do that in whatever way is necessary, whatever way you fill in the pieces, God, but you'll do the things.
I've been kind of stuck on lineage lately, and just like that dichotomy between like, what's the difference between like an aristocratic family versus, you know, the bottom of the barrels family, right? Like just looking at the difference between them, you know, what you know, it's not money that makes the difference. It's not worldly success that makes the difference, right? Like we have all these different things and we go, oh, like if I look at, you know, the Hilton family legacy, right? And you go through that and go back. We have the Biltmore house here. So you think of the Vanderbilts and you kind of go through all of that. And you know, what is that legacy? And thinking about the legacy, you know, that we all build and we all leave. And maybe it's with our kids getting older. I don't know. I've been stuck on this lately, but it's amazing how quickly a family impacts generations, you know what I mean? And, like thinking about it with our kids, our kids are the first kids on either side of the family that aren't in a broken home, and then I'm like going out through the family tree to even find the next family that doesn't have a broken home, right? It just, there's so much of that. And you go, man, look at the impact that our one little family, and I was a teen parent, we were screw ups in so many ways. I mean, we could go on and on and on for days, but like our family is now the first family on either side for either of us that isn't in this just like broken hot mess. And not that we don't have our faults and we don't have our own things and we're not going to face our own issues, but when you invest in a family, right? Like I'm nothing special. For some reason, I felt the need to not go the way that I should have gone, right? Not continued on the path that I was already on. And then I go, okay, so now what happens if my 4 children also continue on living for the Lord? Then what happens if their children, right? You just kind of see that spider web grow in the other way. And I think that's for me where it's like, we're going to hit the goal of 100,000 people this year, because that's going to be 100,000 other women who are saying, guess what? Yep. In my family, I want to live for the Lord too. I want to serve the Lord, right? And then like, that's how you make real change. That's how you make real difference. Fight politics all you want, fight society all you want, like do all that stuff all day. If that's what you want to do, knock yourself out. You want to make real change, impact it starting right there in your home. That's where power comes from. Like that's where change happens. And none of us are going to get it perfect, right? And we're all still going to face our struggles and all of our things. Absolutely.
But God.
But God.
But God.
Yeah.
Like you're saying all the bad, like I was a teen parent, I did this, but God.
Yeah.
But God told you to take that step, or he laid it on your heart and you were like, okay, I guess I could do that. And then God. You're hoping that we all gather together and have a but God experience.
Yeah, right. But isn't that right? That's that community where we all go, man, sure, I've got a million failures in my life. I got a million things that aren't right. I got, you know what I mean? Like we can all sit here all day and do that. But we all have one thing in common. And that thing is but God, right? And I don't want superficial. I don't want, fake nice. I live a lovely life. And that's hard to say right now because my whole household has been sick. My house is trash. My husband's stressed. We're running, we don't have enough money. We don't have enough food or whatever, right? Like, not really, but you know what I mean? Like there's always something. There's always something that isn't right. There's something we don't have, can't do, can't something, whatever. But it's still lovely. And so to be able to gather all together and say, you know what, you're right. Did God give us breath today? That's an amazing gift. That is the loveliest thing any of us could ever receive. And so I'm going to live today showing God all the thanks and praise and truly appreciating it, even if it's 4:00 in the afternoon and I spent most of the day napping to prepare to have enough energy to sit up and have this conversation with you, right? Like, so that's not very fancy from like a world's term, but you know what? I'm giving God all the praise and glory for it because, man, I had a nap all day to be strong enough to do this, but I did it and we're here and this is amazing, right? How lovely is that? That's wonderful. And sure, I mean, we won't talk about all the things that are falling apart all around me because that's not what matters right now. And that's where I hope that, like, I don't know how exactly one takes all of this and packages it up and makes it happen, but like, you just have to be willing. And I think that's something that I think of so often too, is in scripture, Look at the disciples, look at the prophets. I mean, you could go through character study after character study. God didn't pick the people because they were the best for the job. They were the most qualified. They were the most whatever. They were willing. And I'm more than happy to show up and say, Lord, I'm here and I'm willing. I don't know what exactly you do on a YouTube channel with a couple of reject teen parents. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But we're here and we're willing. So use us in any way that you can use us. And however that works, it works, because there's no such thing as failure. So as long as one other person feels even slightly encouraged, I feel like it's job well done.
Underqualified, but willing.
Yeah. Sorely underqualified.
I think God has like a track record of choosing underqualified, willing individuals, though.
Yeah.
Like the whole Bible's full of them. In fact, some of them were really underqualified and then unwilling, and then something happened and then they became willing.
Yeah.
So we just should all start becoming willing, because that's what's needed.
But I think that's it, right? Like, you have to be willing to say, I want to live for eternity. You have to be willing to say, I want the Lord's will for my life. You have to be willing to say that you'll be used in your marriage, in your home, in your kid, you know, in whatever situation is. You have to be willing to say that you're going to see the lovely, right? Like that, it's all these things that they're so simple, but you have to be willing to say, all right, God thought that I was worth having here today for whatever reason. He knows the circumstances and everything I'm facing, and he still thought it was worth it for me to be here. That's up to me to enjoy that lovely, because that's a pretty lovely gift, however you want to slice it with whatever it is that you're dealing with. Like, I get it. But we have to be willing to say, all right.
That's all of it.
I feel like it's like the most anticlimactic ending to the whole thing.
I think that willing to say would be your goal for the year. That you are always up for what God is going to hand you. Use me in whatever way you see fit. That I hate praying this, but I pray it every morning, because some days I'm like, I know that it's going to be a bad day, and I'm going to say that I'm willing to have this bad day, and it's going to be poopy, and I don't want to do that, but I'm willing to, and let's just do it. Use me. I don't know what you're going to do with me today, but like, I'm here. Ugh. Yeah. So like, I think that might be the rock you throw into next year, is that, hey, God, I'm willing. I'm here. This is what's going to happen. I volunteer.
I don't know what I'm volunteering for, but okay, fine, I'll do it.
You know, when the teacher says, so can I have a volunteer? And everybody goes, for what?
Yeah.
Well, you happen to be
clarification first.
You happen to be the kid who is like, teacher says, can I have a volunteer? And you're like, okay, I'll do it. It doesn't matter what it is. I'll be the person. Yeah. I'll be the person is what you're saying for 2024. I'll be the person, God. I think that's a good cast for the next year.
Yeah. I can't believe it's the end of the year already.
Yeah. I think it's gross because, like, yesterday, I now have 2 adult children. Half
like
of
we're like, oh wow, 50% of our kids are teenagers. You're like, oh wow, 50% of my kids are adults.
Yep. Yeah. I have 2 teenagers. Well, I have 2 underage teenagers, and then I have adult children.
Yeah.
And it's half and half now.
So crazy.
It's so weird. I knew the end of this year would be weird, and it is, and it's weird, but
I'm here now. And it feels
but God, let's go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for all that you have done, not only for the channel, but for me and for our family, because I appreciate you immensely for all of it. And I thank you time and time again for allowing me to drag you far outside of your comfort zone and to come be a blessing, not only to me, but to many other people. Because look, you were like, oh, I don't even want to say that I'm willing, but darn it. Yes, I'm willing. So thank you for doing all of that, because I think you make it so much fun. And I genuinely do think that you are the large key determining factor here of things being used to make all of this a much more successful thing than it ever would have been me doing what I was doing all by myself. So good job, you. You did it.
I don't think I did anything, but I'll still be here.
All right, friends, thank you for hanging out with us here for this special edition Chatty Coffee Date, where I torture my best friend by telling her how amazing she is. And we look through not only what an amazing year 2023 has been, but look forward to, Lord willing, whatever 2024 has in store. So thank you all for hanging out with us. Be sure to be back here tomorrow for our final video of the year, officially hitting 365 videos. So we'll have that out tomorrow. I will see you all then. Otherwise, we'll figure out what we've got going on, because Sabrina and I need to go and now plan all the things that are going to be happening when all of a sudden the clock strikes midnight and it's January and we're doing fun things like reading through the Bible and really cool studies and all these other great things we've been talking about. So see you all here for the rest of that as it comes out. Bye, friends.
Bye.